All right, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to Andrew triggered feminists for telling them the best way to raise children. Let's jump in.
I feel like that gives him a lot of things like that he can hold over my head. So I definitely want to be able to be financially independent and take care of myself and my kids and give them the life I want for us, aside from my husband's salary.
Why do you assume that he would hold things above your head?
Just if I don't have anything and I solely rely on him for everything, I have to ask him, can I get this, can I get that? I feel like also like with prenups or anything like that, if I probably wouldn't divorce a man I didn't want to be with if I knew I would be homeless or I wouldn't be in that great of a state after.
So you wouldn't sign a prenuptial agreement?
I think I would because I would have my own money. So it doesn't matter.
I mean,
Never the other way
do you
around.
plan on having children at some point?
Yes.
And it's probably going to be optimal for you to stay at home with them, right?
I don't think so.
You're going to outsource it?
That's
What do
crazy.
you mean?
You're going to outsource your children's being raised by other people? Or would you rather raise them?
I'm definitely going to be a big influence in my children's life.
Wow.
It's also part of why I want to go to the PA program for the lifestyle balance. So I'm definitely I feel like I can also, with the help of my partner and I should both be able to raise
Just
our
listen to their egalitarian language. Partner, outsources. So bad. Prenup. He cannot do a prenup, but if I make more money, I should have a prenup. All these languages. I mean, this is very concerning, man. This is completely concerning, guys.
kids.
This is crazy.
Yeah, but I
stuff.
mean, if we're just talking about what's optimal, let's say man has enough money so that you can stay at home with the kids.
Yeah.
It would be optimal for you as the mother to stay home with the kids rather than outsourcing their raising to somebody who's not their mother, right?
I don't think I would need to rely on someone else that's not their mom. I think, of course you might need daycare and nannies.
Well, that's outsourcing, right?
Okay, but I would probably go with one of my family members, and
That's still outsourcing, right?
How many kids do you want?
probably just like two.
Oh, Brian,
2 kids?
no,
Okay.
Brian. I don't know if you noticed, bro. You just jump in. You just win sisterhood, man. Why would you interrupt? Why would you interrupt a nice back and forward? Why? Why would you do that? She's getting owned, but you have to stop and just jump in, man. I know it's an impulse. I don't think he realizes it, but this is an impulse. You have to chill, man. Go back and
right.
forward. Look
Can
at
I
that.
ask something?
Look at that. Look at that. Look.
Are you saying it's not?
Look. Why he interrupted Andrew? I have no idea.
If
That's
they
still
would-
outsourcing, right?
How many kids do you want?
Boom.
Probably just like two.
2 kids. Okay. All right.
Can I ask?
Yeah, but why you interrupted the back and forward? Why? Man.
something?
Yeah.
Are you saying it's not possible to have a career in kids?
That's
Like,
No, of course not. It's possible. I'm talking about what's optimal.
Not optimal.
You think that it's a good idea to outsource the raising of your children to other people? It's not a good idea.
I'm
Why
sorry.
would it
I
be?
mean, men do it all the time, so I don't really see what your point
What
is.
do you mean?
I have
What
a
do you mean
comment.
men do it all the time?
Can men not have a career and raise kids?
No.
Are they not
So that's
involved in it?
that's the optimal portion, right? Is that the man has a career, right? So last I checked, in case you don't know this, but men can't breastfeed, for instance. Women can do that. It's the healthiest way to raise a child is on breast milk, not with formula. We have all the scientific data in planet Earth at this point to prove that. So at least within the first year of the child's life, the mom probably should be at home with the child. If that is the case, then the father probably is going to be working, right?
Yes, but I mean,
Yeah,
we've been doing it for
so-
a century. Can you not breast pump and give the milk out?
Yeah,
outside of that?
sometimes women have all sorts of different troubles with this. They can't produce enough milk, they can't pump enough milk. There's all sorts of things which come up when it comes to breastfeeding. So I mean, optimally, the best thing to do is to let the baby latch on and drink, right? That's how we've been doing this for several thousand years now. It works pretty good. And they get very healthy because they get the correct nutrition from their mom. And by the way, a baby's entire immune system is essentially formed off of those nutrients. So yeah, it's pretty good for the children.
If that's your view on it, then.
Wow. What the hell's wrong with her?
What's controversial about that view? A baby's entire, they're literally, like, this will affect their IQ, it'll affect their development, it affects everything. It affects their immune system. If you give a child who's developing poor nourishment, you're setting them up for failure. You'll set them up to be lower IQ, have behavioral issues, have all sorts of problems. Of course, it's optimal for their mom to be there with them, giving them affection and feeding them, right?
Okay, but where's the dad at? If he's
The
always
dad is working to
the good old, what about the Mendo argument?
enable the fact that the mom can do that.
But it takes two to make a kid, right? So it should take two to raise that kid. And
is
if you
taking
need
two
to
to raise
reach
that
out
kid.
and if she wants to work because she doesn't want to depend on her husband, then her getting care for her child shouldn't be a problem at all.
Well, that's not what we're talking about, though. You're just switching the issue. We're talking about what's optimal, not what is possible. There's all sorts of arrangements which are possible. You could technically raise a kid in the Playboy Mansion, but do you think that that's going to be good for the kid?
No, of course not.
Okay,
No, of
that's-
course not. Right. So it's not optimal. So the thing is like, if we're talking about what's optimal, not
But
what's possible.
how are you
what's
gonna say
optimal,
what's best for a
obviously,
kid?
is if mommy
For their kid.
can stay at home with baby and feed baby breast milk and take care and nurture baby. Obviously, that's optimal. Well, can you give me a single scenario where there's
Yes,
something more optimal than that?
So no, I'm not saying more optimal, but what if that's not a possibility? So my son had a tongue tie, and that's a medical
There we
problem.
go. Now she's personalizing the argument. This is the problem, right? This is the problem. She's personalizing the argument. So here we're gonna get to a point that we're gonna get into circular arguments, right? We're not gonna get anywhere.
A tongue tie. It's a medical problem as to why he couldn't
What's a
latch
tongue
on.
tie?
It is underneath your tongue. It's the thing that is like right there. It's too long, so you have to get it cut. You have to go through a procedure to be able to latch onto your mother.
Okay.
So there are reasons, and there's it's not just breast milk
Well,
is best.
I don't even
but-
understand in that context. Didn't she just get the procedure and then breastfeed the kid?
I mean, yeah, you could, but do you want to cut your child's
Well, then
tongue?
what's the problem? What do you mean?
Is cutting your child's tongue optimal?
But, well, let's assume for a second that in this one case where almost nobody has this problem,
Sorry,
we go,
multiple
okay,
people
we'll make,
have
Yeah,
this
make-
problem.
I had this
hang
problem.
on, hang
My
on.
kid-
Let me make
yeah.
the case and I'll let you
Sisterhood,
respond.
sisterhood, come man. This is gonna be good, bro. This is gonna be good, guys.
I promise.
Look,
Right.
wow, look at this, bro. I think there's some Leslie thing going on here.
People
We'll make-
have
Yeah,
this
There's
problem.
a
I
Leslie
had this
thing. Look at-
problem.
look
Hang
My
on.
kid-
Let me make
yeah.
the case and I'll
Okay,
let you
look at-
respond. I promise. Right?
Oh yeah, there's some Leslie thing going on there. Oh, you guys look. You guys watch that, man. There's some weird stuff going on there, man.
Let's say in this one case you had to make alternative arrangements or you had to pump or something like this. It was less than optimal.
hell's going on with
Pointing
her,
at the
man?
outlier and saying that that's a standard we should promote seems
Those
silly to
demons
me.
running around.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be individual cases of health issues with children where you're going to have to make less than optimal decisions because you're in a less than optimal situation. But for the vast, vast, vast majority of all of humanity who exists right this second, clearly, a woman staying at home with her children is optimal in comparison to
100%.
outsourcing their children. That seems obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Because you can't just say that everything
language.
like that it's like the world is ridiculous right now. Like it's not like it was back in the day. It's not. That's not how things go anymore.
Because, Bill, yeah, it's not how it goes. If you say, well, I just demand that I go work and outsource my child care, then yeah. But the truth is that there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of families all over the world, all over the United States, all over South America, all over the place, who have dad go to work for very little money, and still, because they do all sorts of budget cuts in their homes, maybe they only have one vehicle, right? It's tough. But they make sure that mom can stay at home with kids because, well, they're going to get the best nutrition possible and they're going to have their mom. What could possibly be more important to a baby than having their mom?
So let me ask: does that change how the child turns out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, significantly changes.
So
the
then,
results.
how
Hey,
does
hang on, I'll
dad?
give you some
Then
examples.
how does
I'll give you some-
dad?
He's personalizing the argument.
Some
If it
examples
changed,
so that you
then
know.
Yeah, she's personally that she's just doing what I told you guys that she was gonna do. She's just going in circles and circles and circles. She's just taking this so personal.
Can I add something?
So here's the
No, 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 no.
examples. Here's the
Sister, jump
examples.
in it.
Yes. Not only does it affect their immune system, it affects their IQ, it affects their physiology, it affects their height, it affects their weight, it affects long-term problems inside of a human being's health. It also affects behavior. It affects behavior because you have detachment problems. You have all sorts of issues that come with the feeling of abandonment when childcare is outsourced away from the mom. And this is one of the most psychologically studied phenomenon on planet Earth, along with the nutritional values. And we see the results of mass inflammation in children, ADHD at all-time highs, depression, all of these different things. Much of this has been linked to the idea of the plastics that are inside of food, the lack of nourishment, lack of breastfeeding, and formula feeding.
So I would say I would agree. Maybe in the first year a child is born that a mother could take time off to really, really tend to her child. But my mom has worked a full-time job since forever. And I mean, I feel like I turned out pretty good. I got
yeah, you're so pretty good. You're kind of slow. To be honest, you're sounding kind of slow. Not only that, I'm guessing you have an OF too.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Nobody's disputing that you can't have good results by doing things in a less than optimal way. Nobody's disputing that. Like, for instance, I suppose that I could start a bonfire with a hand grenade, right? Or I can start it with a match. I would just say that starting it with the match would be more optimal than starting it with a hand grenade. The idea here, hang on, the idea here is just to say, right, that yes, you can have good results and good children and people who are even with that. But I'm just saying that if we look at the stats,
man. He's basically just going back and forth with her, man, regarding her argument. You're just standing up.
Data, we can clearly see that most people have less than good results. And who knows how you would have turned out had mommy stayed home with you the entire time. Could be vastly different.
Can I say something? Did you do everything the optimal way? And did your parents do everything the optimal way if you're putting the standard on everyone else?
Let's say for a second they didn't. Do you understand that when you make an argument, a two-way quo fallacy, which is what you're doing right now, what about you? It wouldn't matter. Let's say for a second my parents did the opposite. They were both feminazis and they ran around with blue hair, right? They hated their children. They thought I was complete scum and they completely malnourished me. What in the world would that have to do with what was optimal or what wasn't?
Yo, what the hell's going on with her, bro? I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on here, man. She look like you might just grab a bat and just, start playing baseball with somebody, man. I'm telling you, she does not look okay. She doesn't, guys. Look at her.
I'm just saying that you're holding everyone to this ridiculous standard of every single thing having to be an optimal way.
All I said was what is optimal, what is not, looking for an argument for why I'm wrong. What standard have I held you to?
Do you guys agree that it's optimal?
Hang on, let her answer the
I don't know how to answer.
question.
She just want to just have this sisterhood thing.
If U.S. gave longer maternity leave
Yeah, she
and we were
deviating the
able to
conversation to her, yeah. She's trying to save them.
with our children for that full 1 year, I guess I would say it's optimal, but many families cannot survive on one person's salary, especially with the economy. So right now, it's not.
Oh, yeah, well, then you need to explain why it is that it's the least rich demographic. The poorest people have the most amount of children.
What if
the poorest people who have the most amount of children also, right, have mom stay home while dad works, right? They're underneath that income threshold most of the time. And interestingly enough, what happens is the opposite. When you have middle class, they tend to do what's called family planning, right? And so they want to have kind of a posher lifestyle, and oftentimes they do that at the expense of the children.
Look at that. Save me. This is weird, bro. There's something going on with her. Like, look at that. Like, save me.
I have a question.
The demographic has most kids is poor people, though, right?
How long do you think then a woman should optimally stay home with their child? What age is it okay for them to then resume their work?
I think that they should stay home with them until they're nearing adulthood.
But we send kids to school for the whole day when they're in kindergarten. Do you guys want to work though?
There we go.
I think they should be home.
Bro, she want to jump in and save them. She's them. We need, man, Brian, where are you, man? You have to really, and I think Andrew has done a very good job studying these behaviors, right? He understands what she's doing. She's trying to jump in and just play the sisterhood. That's what she's trying to do. And Andrew has become very, very, very reluctant and very smart when it comes down to the social dynamics, right? And this is what makes a person, you know, a person that is very good at his craft. He's not a pickup artist. He's not a dating coach. But the social dynamic of it. He always come up with new ideas to just confront these ideas, guys. And he knows that she's jumping in because she has a code to save them from their own demise. The only way they can just learn is by doing this, guys.
Homeschooled.
Okay, that was
And I
going
think
to be my
instead
question.
of
Do you
using
think they should
our
just stay
best,
at home the
I
whole
think
time?
that instead of using our best and brightest to go into office buildings all the time, right? And go work as sandwich makers and work in the service industry, which is where we send them all the time, right? Most of them aren't being doctors and lawyers. They're mostly working as waitresses and in the service industry. I think instead of wasting women there, we should take our best and brightest and have them raising the next generation of the best and brightest. That's what I think.
I say that because I actually was homeschooled my entire life, essentially. But there's definite bad things to homeschooling as well. You don't get the social connect you need between people of your own age, so that hinders you completely.
No, completely the opposite. In fact, the public school system, because of the way that it's set up, if you homeschool, all of the extracurricular activities which your property taxes go to pay for, you can enroll your children in all of them without ever sending them to that school. So if you want them to be on the wrestling team, the football team, the volleyball team, the cheerleading squad, or any of these different things, guess what? You can just send them right along because your tax dollars pay for all that. The school can't tell you anything different if you're inside the curriculum. So that's completely wrong. The socialization aspect of it has been well studied. They're not antisocial. They graduate much earlier than children outside of the homeschool curriculum. They do better long-term in most longitudinal studies than people go to public school.
But I was homeschooled, yes, and that was not the case where I lived. Not to mention, I was not homeschooled by my parents. I was homeschooled by a computer, which is what a lot of homeschoolers are doing nowadays. They sit in front of their computers, their family
Yeah,
still
what do you think
goes
you do
off
in a
to
public
work.
school?
Okay, but that raises the same point then. Do
Yeah,
you not
what's
feel
the
more
point, man?
neglect if you're being kept at home away from everyone else and your family is then also
You're not
having
being
to do
kept
their
away
own
from anyone
life?
else. This is full of red herrings and kind of false anecdotes.
It's
How are you
not.
being kept away from everybody else because you don't have to go to a pee-wee prison where you're locked in a room for 8 hours a day, right, and forced to learn shit you don't care about?
Let's
that seems
assume-
like it's completely suboptimal, in
Let's
fact.
assume the
You know
normal-
why that exists? That system exists?
In the factories.
Because working parents need babysitters. That's why school lasts 8 hours, even though every single study we look at shows that young children do not do well when you go past somewhere around 3 to 4 hours of daily education. They don't do well.
And not only that, actually, how do you call this? Our skill for writing and reading is going down by the minute, guys. We have kids, they're not even reading at the grade level.
But we make the day that long so that parents can go and work and be cogs in the economy. Does that sound like it's a good deal? It doesn't sound like a good deal to me.
Speaking from my own personal upbringing and experience as someone who was homeschooled my entire life, when you're growing up and you see the quote unquote, let's say a normal childhood, you see kids going off to school, hanging out with their school friends, participating on these clubs that are in school, doing all this. When you don't get that as a child and you were not allowed to get that as a child in that normal experience, you feel a certain way about it. Almost anyone I know who is also homeschooled also has felt that certain way about it. And it takes a little bit to get over that because you're jealous
too
for a
young.
while of people who got to do that.
No, you're too young. You're too young. You're not gonna. I don't know what it is, man, but you're too young to realize this. Right? If you hang out with losers, you will become a loser. So that's what you want to do. You want to be with the cool losers, I guess. Right? You're literally in a you know what's the crazy thing about this, guys? She's literally in a podcast, taking the majority of the time while being surrounded by a lot of people that went to public school, guys. The homeschool girl is demonstrating more confident than the other females that went to a public school, guys. That's not crazy. Isn't that crazy? She's defending the same system that he hasn't given the same confidence. The same confidence that she got. She doesn't even see it.
What? I'm sorry. Didn't you say that you graduated at 14 and went to college? Yeah, I guarantee you that most of these public school kids who had to stay in the Pee-wee prison until they were 18 and their senior year in high school, they were taking nothing but electives because they just needed to warm a seat so the school got federal funding, would vastly have preferred to have graduated at 14 years old and gone on with their life.
And every day I wish I had stayed behind and gotten to live a normal
What was the advantage of staying behind? Why couldn't you live a normal life at 14 after you graduated?
Because being a 14-year-old in a class with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds, you're not going to make many friends.
Oh, lady.
You weren't going to, what classes were you going to with 20-something-year-olds at 14?
College classes?
You what? You weren't enrolled in college, going to college at 14. That's ridiculous.
What did I do in between the years I graduated at 14?
I have no idea, but you weren't going to college and hanging out in rooms with 20-year-olds in college rooms learning.
That's what happens
show
when
me a
someone
single picture
graduates
of this.
early.
So show me anything backing up that at 14 years old you were going to college rooms with 20-year-olds and learning advanced calculus. Ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing you've said all night.
It's seen the homeschool work. You graduate by 14th? You're already ahead of the game? You're entering college with people that are already ahead. Don't you want to see people that are already ahead of you? Man, men and females are different, I'm telling you. Men and females are different, I'm telling you. She's 14, she got out of the right race of just being in school, but people that are they're not there to just give you a better life. You go with a place where people at least taking things serious. You're complaining. I mean, this is ridiculous, guys.
Graduate early. Are they then expected to just sit there and wait until they are of the normal college age to then attend college?
No, the learning doesn't end just because you graduated. That is also absurd. You can take what are called college. You can take what are called college pre-prep classes. You can go to trade schools. You can do all sorts of different things with your education.
You can't go to college preparatory.
Why is the expectation that you sit there like a drooling idiot looking at the wall? Why can't you pursue
well, you're
music?
saying
Why can't you pursue art? Why can't you pursue cooking and other interests? Hang on, let me ask a question that you can answer. Why can't you pursue all of these things that you want to pursue exactly?
Because I want to if I graduate early and my goal is to graduate with a degree, then in my head, how it was when I was graduating and went off to college, if I don't go straight into college, I have now wasted my extra years of graduating early.
Why?
Because I wanted to get school out of the way.
Yeah, first of all, college isn't for everyone.
Right, it's not.
And it's not even a boon for most people who go through it. Most people go through it, they end up with a lot of debt, and they only make a slight amount more of money, and that's after years of still being at an entry-level job. That's one. So the second thing is having your general schooling and general education behind you at 13, 14 years old and you're on par with your 18-year-old peers gives you every advantage to start doing other pursuits.
Yo, it's such a massive advantage. That means you're ahead for years, guys. That's almost genius level. She might be a genius. She doesn't even realize it, man. She doesn't even realize that she's too worried about things and people. No, you should have just optimized those years and keep grinding, man. But you want to just... Man, this is ridiculous.
Pursuits earlier, be it music, be it trade schools, be it cooking pursuits, hobbies, whatever it is that you want to do.
Keep grinding. At 14 years old, I can go and let me go culinary school. Let me just go to real estate. Let me get a couple licenses for you know what I'm saying? There's so much. This is crazy, man.
This idea that you have to be perpetually schooled is nonsense.
Stupid.
It's nonsense. Most people run on passion, and when they work around things that they're passionate about, they tend to make the most amount of money and have the highest in the happiness index.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with...
So it's like, why do we have to continuously push down everybody's throat that they need to get a degree in something worthless? You know how many political science degrees have sat here and they don't know anything about politics? How many women with different degrees have sat here and they have a degree in psychology, don't know anything about psychology? College is not about rewarding the best and brightest. If it was, not everybody could go.
There we go.
Could I ask a question?
No. Why the sisterhood always has to come in, guys? Let the tension simmer. Let the tension be built. Let that sink in. But of course, the sisterhood has to come in, right, and save the day.
And did you go to like public school or private school? Or were you homeschooled?
It was a mix. I didn't like school. School's not for smart people. School's not where smart people go. School is where smart people leave. That's what smart people do. They get the fuck away as fast as they can so that they can go pursue things that are, it's like, I remember watching a video of the guy who owns Virgin. Okay, you might have heard of Virgin, Virgin Travel, Virgin Mobile, all of this. And I remember him sitting down in a room full of suits who were multimillionaires, and he laughed at them because they all went through their entire life getting degrees and playing the stock market and this and that. He said, I'm the only billionaire in the room, and I'm a ninth grade dropout. The thing is like, no, I don't think that education has to do with a schoolroom. I think that you need to teach kids how to read, write, do arithmetic, basic English. Right now, your graduation rates at 12th grade, they're walking out and they can't read at a 6th grade level. Who's this helpful to? Does society seem like it's smarter than it was when people only had an 8th grade education? Because it doesn't seem like that to me.
Yeah, my grandpa only have a 3rd grade education, right? And he used to write some beautiful letters. And the script, he used to write in script. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Well, damn, here we are, I guess. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one.